The world of Elden Ring is one of symbols, and like all FromSoft properties, cycles. In the base game, we know Marika is considered a god, and had not one, but two Elden Lords during her time housing the Elden Ring within herself. While exploring crumbling Farum Azula, we were able to find Placidusax, an Elden Lord before Godfrey, who acted as a consort to a god which fled the land, never to be seen again, giving us what we believe to be the first god and lord in the lands between. Miquella's ultimate plan was to break the cycle and create a kinder world, by taking on his promised consort and ascending to godhood himself. But by casting aside every piece of himself, especially his love, Trina, I believe he was likely to repeat the cycle as well. Even our Tarnished is set to create another loop depending on the ending we choose. This cycle defines the world we've come to know, and while Marika tried to break it by keeping the blessings of the Erdtree within the lands between, I believe Miquella was trying to break it by creating a new, but somehow familiar, time of abundance for all lands. Welcome back to Elden Lore, our ongoing series where we talk about the people, places, and cycles of the lands between and the Land of Shadow. If this is your first time finding the channel, hello, it's good to have you with us. This episode is a bit different as it isn't focusing on a singular character, but rather a concept we've seen from day one of Elden Ring. If you finish our video and want to discuss this topic yourself, you can feel free to visit our Discord, where our community comes together to appreciate the worlds of FromSoft. You could also hit the subscribe button and help the channel in a big way, but no pressure. Your viewership is more than enough for us. With that said, let's discuss this cycle of the Elden Ring. In the early days of Elden Ring lore hunting, we all wondered what exactly the depiction of the Elden Ring in crumbling Farum Azula was trying to tell us. It shows a significantly larger Elden Ring than the one we've come to know, with many more runes and branching paths for those runes flowing downward. Underneath this depiction, we can see a young woman praying, surrounded by wolves. It's fair to assume that this woman was an Empyrean, as they're known to have hound-like shadows that protect them, but who she is exactly cannot be known for sure. This statue does not seem to resemble Marika, and the fact that it exists within crumbling Farum Azula seems to indicate that she is either Placidusax's god who fled, never to return, or perhaps a more ambiguous depiction of whoever would come to house the Elden Ring next. There are some who think she could be the Gloam-Eyed Queen due to the associations with death throughout Farum Azula, the Godskin duo and Malekith the Black Blade, and I can see that line of thinking, as the Godskins would have no other reason for journeying to the land between the storm outside of tracking down Malekith. All of this is to say that this is likely the oldest depiction of the Elden Ring we can find, and it shows us an Elden Ring without order, branching and flowing wildly. The cinematic trailer for Shadow of the Erdtree shows us a short scene of Marika taking golden strands from what many believe to be a serpent, and walking them to the Gate of Divinity. She then holds the strands before the gate as they twist in the wind, curving upward. This is thought to be the moment Marika became a god, the moment the Erdtree and Shadowtree were born, and the lands between were separated from the Land of Shadow. I think what we're seeing in this scene is not only Marika's ascension, but also her adding her own rune to the Elden Ring. Just as we add a mending rune to become Elden Lord, Marika seems to have added the lower arc, or the basin, to the Elden Ring, stopping its wild flow of blessings and creating order. The rune arc tells us the lower arc of the Elden Ring is held to be the basin in which its blessings pool. Perhaps this shard originates from that very arc. It makes sense that these shards activate the blessings of the great rune we have equipped, and that this basin would stop the blessings of the Erdtree from flowing freely as they're depicted in Farum Azula. In this way, we see the Golden Order come to fruition, with Erdtree royalty deciding who and what should receive the blessings of the Erdtree. Marika may have believed that her actions would break the cycle of death the land had known, as she removed the Rune of Death from the Elden Ring, granting her people eternal life through rituals. However, in the larger cycle of gods and lords, she was simply the latest link in the chain connected to the Elden Ring, and it's likely she came to understand this over time. Whether she was stricken with grief over the loss of her son, or she planned to break free from the Elden Beast from the start, she shattered the Elden Ring, again attempting to break the cycle of the world. But for this, she would be punished. Strung up on the arc represented by the top of the Elden Ring, forced to wait for a lord powerful enough to defeat both Radagon and the Elden Beast, so that the ring could be restored with their chosen mending rune. In doing so, our Tarnish has the opportunity to repeat the cycle, with a slight variation. We also have the option of breaking the cycle with either Ranni or the Frenzied Flame, but who knows which ending is meant to be canon. Next we have Miquella, who wants to create an Age of Compassion. He does this by following the exact opposite path of his mother. He works to achieve godhood before claiming the Elden Ring, or perhaps without it entirely, by discarding all of his divine parts and using the Gate of Divinity as his mother did. Interestingly, when we see Miquella in his godly form, his hair bears a striking resemblance to the version of the Elden Ring we're able to see in Farum Azula. His wild and twisting hair is almost a perfect representation of what the Elden Ring once was before Marika added her basin to the bottom, pooling the blessings of the ring. And I believe that Miquella's hair is a symbol of his intentions after achieving godhood. In Miquella's new age, Marika's basin would be removed, and blessings would flow directly from the Elden Ring to the land below, which means the order Marika imposed would shatter, just as the ring did under her hammer. That said, the cycle would absolutely continue again, as Miquella's Age of Compassion would institute a different form of control. The blessings would flow freely, but free will would be replaced with absolute devotion to the land's new god. St. Trina tells us that Miquella needs to be stopped, and this is why. By casting aside everything that made Miquella who he was, he inadvertently lost sight of what compassion is and where it should come from, becoming a divine being bent on control and power. As if we didn't need further proof of the intentionality behind his hair, just before facing Miquella and his promised consort in battle together, Miquella holds the shoulders of Radahn and is depicted just under the Gate of Divinity, a gate which has its tops curve upward, creating the very arc at the top of the Elden Ring that we see Marika hanging from, as if to say, "This is my new puppet, born from my gate." The Gate of Divinity is the base from which gods are born and shaped in the image of the Elden Ring. This gate shows us the upper arc and the center of the Elden Ring, the pieces that are visible consistently in every depiction. It would seem the god that emerges from this gate will act as the vessel for the ring, and in doing so become its new center, with the other runes simply filling in around them. These runes can be removed, destroyed, created, and applied, but the base is always the same, and the Divine Gate is both a visual representation of it and the creator of its vessels. While the cycle repeats itself, singing the same song with different lyrics, the gate stands, ready to ascend the next god and write the next verse. It's only by abandoning the Elden Ring entirely that these cycles can be broken. We can either burn the ring itself to ash along with its host, or allow Ranni to destroy it and follow our Empyrean Queen as we embark on a new quest, bereft of the light given by the Greater Will. These are the only two ways to break the cycle and abandon the Elden Ring. But is that really what's best for this land? Thank you for joining us for our thoughts on how the gods strive to break the cycle of the Elden Ring. Do you believe this is a cycle that goes back further than we can possibly know? Who was Placidusax's wayward god? Why did Marika hoard the blessings of the Elden Ring within her basin rune? Was Miquella trying to abandon the Erd Tree and let the blessings of the Elden Ring flow through the earth itself? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and set notifications to all so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden Lore.